right, it's setting up. All right, we are live. Yay.
Hey.
So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's live, Facebook Live with Borderless Magazine. I'm Diane Bukhalil, Borderless Magazine's engagement reporter, and today I'll be talking to Francisco Velazquez, who is Borderless Magazine's reporting intern and also the writer of this week's news story on a coffee shop in Madison, Wisconsin called Finca Coffee that uses coffee beans from El Salvador. So stay tuned and keep watching to learn more about the story behind the story. You can read the story on borderlessmag.org. While you're there, please sign up for our weekly newsletter to never miss a story. We're also doing a reader survey right now, and you can win a $10 gift card to First Sip Café here in Chicago. So enter, take our survey, and you can find out more about that on our website, borderlessmag.org. So today we're joined by Francisco. So please, if anyone has any questions, do not hesitate to leave a comment down below or to message us afterwards. So thank you so much for joining us, Francisco.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So before we start talking about the story, you are the new summer reporting intern here at Borderless Magazine, and we want our viewers to get to know you a little bit. So do you think you can tell us a little bit more about yourself?
My name is Francisco Velazquez. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I graduated this past May online, but graduated. I'm
Congratulations.
from Atlanta, born and raised in Atlanta, and I kind of would say that I got really interested in journalism at a very young age when I started kind of writing poetry. So it kind of translated into wanting to be more intentional with my words. And I thought journalism was that perfect balance. But I love Chicago, really got interested in Borderless because I really wanted to report in a city that was so densely populated with different people. So really saw that in Borderless, and that's why I decided to apply.
Mhm. Great. Well, congratulations first on your graduation. We're really happy and excited to have you this summer reporting. And so while you're now in Wisconsin, so while you were in Wisconsin, how did you find out about Finca Coffee Cafe?
So I think it's a little kind of, I would say, ironic that I found them 4 years later after being on campus for so long. But I kind of was looking for a place that had Salvadorian food because my parents are from San Salvador. So I really wanted that little piece of like connection home that's far away from home. So I looked up like Salvadorian restaurants, and they were one of the three that came up listed on Google. So I was like, and they're relatively new. They're actually only a year old. So I was really interested in learning how these two people from El Salvador opened a business. So I decided I'd reach out, and they were super, super kind.
Hmm. Yeah, so you briefly mentioned your background and how you found out about the cafe. Could you tell us a little about like what the story is behind the making of Finca Coffee?
Yeah. So Finca Coffee prides itself on its food and its coffee beans. And I would say that Finca's origin is at the roots of a friendship that Celias de Valle and Todd Albo, may be pronouncing it wrong, but they met 30 years ago in college and became roommates. Celias ended up staying with Todd's host family. And then they kind of built this partnership, and Tilias eventually returned to El Salvador, where he worked 21 years, later met his wife, Marlene, who is now the owner of Finca. And they came back in 2017 and they decided they wanted to open something that wasn't fast food, but that was quick. And that's kind of how Finca emerged from this partnership of food and the passion for coffee.
Hmm. Yeah, and so while reading, I noticed that like the owners and everything, they were back and forth to El Salvador and they kind of studied or like observed how those beans and the food, everything they wanted to be authentic and kind of bring
Yeah.
it. to Wisconsin. So
Yeah.
also again, mentioning your background, what drew you to tell that story?
Um, I think especially considering the message that Finca was trying to convey, besides like really catering to their audience and providing food that would make you feel good and coffee that you knew where it was coming from, so it made you feel better. And I think that what drew me really into the story was learning how the coffee beans were actually brought to the US. So they specifically buy their coffee beans from farmers in Wisconsin, not in Wisconsin, in El Salvador. So they cut out the middleman and they're building that relationship with farmers in El Salvador who usually sell their coffee beans for a much lower rate for other companies, but Finca pays a higher rate for their coffee beans. So that way they help create jobs in El Salvador while also like getting this really authentic flavor here in the US.
Cool. And now in the time of this pandemic, we're still, working and
Yeah.
we're both reporting from home, I'm guessing. And
Yeah.
so COVID-19, how has it affected Finca Coffee Cafe?
Yeah, so it affected them kind of similarly to a lot of restaurants where they had to close, they had to kind of do curbside pickup and like things along those lines. But for Finca, they closed March 23rd and then they opened May 27th. So they were closed for a majority of a period when they mentioned that a lot of their business would be bustling because it's kind of like warmer weather. People are encouraged to eat out more. So it was a little difficult for them to maintain that profit that they were making so easily with people coming in, getting that really cafe Salvadorian cafe experience. Because as soon as you walk into Finca, if you were to walk into Finca or walk into a Salvadorian coffee shop in El Salvador, they're really similar. So they took this idea of designing a coffee shop that looked and represented like the Central American coffee shops. But for them, it's been really, they say that it's been really difficult. It's been really hard. It's been really different because their business is so new. But with opening in May and like having curbside pickup, they were able to make at least 50% of the profits that they were originally making before the pandemic.
Mhm. Yeah. And so you're Salvadoran yourself. And
Yeah.
so there's this kind of, connection with the
Yeah.
story of the cafe. So what was your favorite part while reporting this story?
I think my favorite part, even though the food was great, the coffee was great, it's really nice to talk with other Salvadorian people because their experiences are completely different, but we have that connection in our culture. So we share the same culture, we share many of the same customs, many of the same, I would say, dialects. But I think with them, it was really nice just getting them to talk about their business. Because when I was researching Finca and I was like, oh, I found this Salvadorian coffee shop, I found other articles that had covered the restaurant, but it was I would say really distant in a way, and I I enjoyed that this was my first interview doing it completely in Spanish. So kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone and being able to report in Spanish, but also making sure that they felt comfortable and making sure that I heard them. So I think something that really resonated with me that I heard earlier this summer is that I understand in English, but I feel in Spanish. So I really wanted them to feel that I was not only interested in the restaurant and just creating a piece about the restaurant, but getting to know them as people.
Mhm. Yeah. And have you tried any of their dishes?
I tried all of them like in one day, but they were all really good. They for someone who has gone to El Salvador and tasted the food, it tastes just alike. You wouldn't notice the difference.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah. So, as you mentioned to our viewers, Francisco reported it also in Spanish. It's written both on borderlessmag.org. The story is both in English and Spanish. So you can read the story on our website, borderlessmag.org. So thank you so much, Francisco, and thank you everyone for watching. I'm Diane Bukhalil, and you just watched the story behind the story with Borderless Magazine's writer Francisco Velazquez of this new story from the coffee farms of El Salvador to the dairy lands of Wisconsin. And also, again, you could read it on borderlessmag.org. And while you're on our website, please check out our reader survey. If you complete it, you can enter to win the chance to get a First Sip Café gift card if you fill out the survey, and you can check more about that on our website. So thank you so much.